After the Red Sea crossing site, of course, we knew Mount Sinai had to be in Saudi Arabia, and so then Dad tried to get permission for 4 years to go to Saudi Arabia, so we could prove that that's Mount Sinai. Here's where they crossed, everything, the whole bit, to give everybody the whole story, and they wouldn't give us permission, and he kept applying and kept applying. They would not do it.
Our dad didn't want us to go to Saudi. We were in Jordan. He wanted us to stay in Jordan, just hang out. We had money, go eat and do whatever, just wait for him. And we said, no, you're not going. You know, we couldn't let him go by himself. So, because he said he was going to sneak over, but he did not want us to go. You know, but we pretty much insisted, we're going, you know, what are you going to do? Tie us down, make it stay or whatever. So he let us go, and we snuck over there. It was for a good cause, because all we were wanting to do was scuba dive on that side of the Red Sea, because in the Bible it says all the bodies washed up on, the children of Israel saw the bodies on that side of the water, so we figured most of a lot of chariot parts and stuff, there'd be a lot more on that side closer. That's why we snuck over there, and all we were going to do was scuba dive.
When we got we had fins, masks, underwater camera gear, stuff like that to take pictures. We wanted to get pictures of all the chariot parts on that side, because my dad figured that the water rushed the Egyptians from behind. It fell in from behind, because after the Israelites crossed the Red Sea, they got into a fight with someone like the Amalekites or something like that, and the Bible says that they smote them with the sword. And they had no weapons when they left Egypt, and they had no time to make them while they were running. And so Dad pretty much figured that a lot of the bodies of the soldiers washed up on shore, and they got their weapons. And then the Bible goes on to about Mount Sinai and stuff. So pretty much we snuck in, got our bags, and we started climbing up and down these hills, going over into Saudi Arabia. And it took us about 14 hours of hiking up and down these hills. And my dad was in his 50s then, and it really, really had a hard toll on my dad. And we were there about 3 days. We tried to go get to the Saudi Arabian side close to the Red Sea so we could go diving, and it was all fenced off, military area, and so we couldn't even get close to it. And so, okay, we couldn't do that. And so we met a guy. We were walking along, and this guy and his family were at the beach after we were along the border, and he rode us into town in his car and took us to eat at his house, invited us to his house. He was a banker. And so, anyway, we rented a cab. We asked him, he spoke pretty good English, said, can we rent a Jeep or something? And said, yeah. And so we rented a Jeep, and we were telling him we want to go to Jabal El Laws, the mountain of the laws. And they knew it over there. It says, they knew it was the mountain of God, or the mountain of the laws. And so they kind of understood exactly where we wanted to go. And they started driving us out to it. And we were getting close into the area, into the mountain range of Ararat, and we saw a big flatbed truck going in on a road up ahead of us, quite a ways up, that had a big camouflage netting on the back of it and a huge rocket under it. So they were loading some type of rocket into the Mount Sinai area. And there's a Jeep following this truck. And my dad said, Ronnie, did you see that? And I said, yeah. He said, don't tell them you saw that. And so anyway, that Jeep come tearing up the road at us, and the guy started screaming at our driver, yelling at him, what are you doing? Because they didn't want us to see that missile, obviously. And so we acted like, no, we didn't see nothing. And they asked us for our passports. We said we left them at our hotel. So anyway, right then the guy just turned us around and let us leave with our driver and drove us on out of there. And so then that night we just got another hotel, and Dad's like, well guys, I guess, we're not going to be able to get anywhere here, And he said, so I guess tomorrow we'll just try to get back out. And he said, there's no way I'm going to be able to hike back out the way I come in. He said, I can't do it. He said, we're going to have to go through the border. And I said, Dad, we're going to go to jail if we go through that border. And he said, Ronnie, he said, there's no way I can make it. He said, I'll give you your plane ticket and your passport, and you can hike out. Or you boys, y'all can have them and you can go, but I'm going to have to go through the border. I said, well, Dad, I can't let you do that.
They caught us.
Anyway, basically they said, okay, you wait right here. And then the military pretty much came and got us from the customs or the border.
So that wasn't looking good. They had us in the military jail. My dad was in the military, luckily, because they got us all out of our cell, and we lined up. They had us 3 in a row, and there was this wall in front of us, probably 50 feet in front of us. Had bullet holes all in it. I mean, looks like that's where they shoot people, and that's where they did shoot people. Anyhow, they told us, Dad said, if they don't do anything unless they say it in English, and they were saying, they said, walk forward, and they were hollering stuff. It sounded like something to make us stop, but Dad had said, don't stop unless they say it in English. So we just kept walking. And they hollered a couple of things, and we kept walking. And so anyhow, they figured that we we lied to them about crossing over, but we weren't a threat. They were thinking we were spies because they saw us in that military area, but. And then they took us to regular jail, and they really started interrogating, separating, which I don't blame them because we snuck in their country, But we don't look like Israelis. I mean, I heard later on that somebody had told them that we were coming over there. So somebody set us up. I'm not going to say who, but I know who. But anyhow, they kept us there for 75 days. The first 10 days were pretty rough because they had us separate, interrogating us, and they never tortured never hurt anybody. They fed us, so it was a matter of just being there that long and couldn't speak to counselor, or the embassy or anybody. They just kept it there, and they were saying, maybe tomorrow you'll get out, maybe tomorrow, for that long in jail, it seems like forever, because in Saudi Arabia, and he's losing his house at home, hadn't had no money to pay the bill. My sister's at home. Everybody's worried. We're dead, All they know is they found the car and hadn't seen us in several months.
75 days in Saudi Arabia, and then they turned us over to the Jordanian government. They said, you're going home. And then they turned us over to the Jordanian police, and we had to stay in their prison 3 days, which was really terrible because we're in the main population there in the Jordanian jail. And as soon as we walked around the corner being escorted into jail, there was 2 guards holding a guy down in a chair, ripping his beard and mustache out by the handfuls, and his face was bleeding. And they hadn't let us shave, not once in Saudi Arabia, and I had my first beard ever. I didn't even know I could grow one. But my dad's mustache was so long, he was having to hold it up to eat. He couldn't even eat right because he was chewing on his beard. They wouldn't let us shave. And anyway, my dad told the Saudi Arabians about, they got us an interpreter, and they questioned us for 75 days, asking us the same questions over and over and over to see if the story changed. And, it didn't. And Found out later that a friend of my dad's, who my dad told we were going there, actually called the Saudi Arabian government and told them that we were Israeli spies. And that's why they had been looking for us since he had called anyway. And he had also told another friend, James Irwin, former astronaut James Irwin, who was an archaeologist also. He started the High Flight Foundation, and he was interested in finding Noah's Ark, and my dad took him out to Noah's Ark and showed it to him. And so they were good friends.
I saw after we got out of jail that my sister and somebody else had done an interview and said that we were missing, hadn't seen us. I forgot what channel it was, but anyhow, James Irwin heard about it, and he knew the king over there, so he made some phone calls, and evidently he's the one that got us out. He was friends with Dad, so that worked out good, but that was the last trip I went on, Saudi Arabia.
Oh no, I just feel really blessed to have had a dad like my father, and to got to do this work. It's just been an amazing thing.